Hull, open three. Oh, what a sight for Lexi Hull. She has needed that one to drop.
What you're about to witness defies everything we thought we knew about basketball. Picture this. Your team's biggest star is sidelined. Both your point guards suffer season-ending injuries in the same game, and you're facing a desperate rival hungry for revenge. Most teams would crumble under that pressure.
Obviously we lost our last two, but I think, that LA one felt good for us because we didn't quit. And then, life happened the other night at the Valley, so we could have looked at it like, oh, woe is me, and, we don't have enough players, and we didn't. So shout out to our group for just staying confident and staying ready because, it's a professional league and we have to be ready and we can't make too many excuses about it because no one's going to hand us anything. So we might as well look at it for what it is and keep showing up.
The Indiana Fever turned it into their most dominant performance of the season. When Lexi Hull finally drained that three-pointer against Chicago, Caitlyn Clark's reaction from the sidelines told the entire story. Pure joy, relief, and pride, watching her teammate break free from weeks of shooting struggles. But that single shot was just the beginning of a masterclass performance that sent shockwaves through the WNBA and proved something incredible about this team's championship DNA.
We're back home, baby, let's go! Back in the W column. Well, I got your challenge. That's a big job, baby! Point guard.
The Chicago Sky thought they were catching Indiana at the perfect moment. Wounded, desperate, and missing their superstar. They had no idea they were about to get absolutely demolished by a team that had been quietly building something special all season long. This wasn't just another victory. This was a statement that echoed throughout the entire league.
Tonight?
Unbelievably proud. I think this is the most resilient team I've ever been a part of, and I say that wholeheartedly. We've had a lot of mishap happen throughout the course of the season. I think throughout the course of it all, we stay resilient, and you guys get to see us at our best when we stay together and be resilient. So shout out to my girls tonight because I think it took everybody. Everyone played a piece, played a role, and I think that's how we got the dub.
Every team's worst nightmare became Indiana's reality in the span of just a few days. The Fever had been riding high after dominating the early part of their West Coast road trip, looking unstoppable and playoff ready. Then, Phoenix and Los Angeles delivered back-to-back punches that sent them reeling. These weren't just regular losses that you shake off and move on from. These were the kind of defeats that made front offices panic and fans question everything about their team's championship potential.
This means you don't have any healthy point guards and you're not able to sign anyone for tonight's game. Just for tonight specifically, what is your plan kind of running point?
We'll have to do it by committee, certainly. I mean, we've been utilizing AV to initiate offense throughout the course of the season, so we'll use her, continue to use her. Sophie, at times this season, particularly early, ran some of the point for us as well. So we'll utilize her and Kelsey can initiate offense too. So I think the most important thing is that we aren't going to be able to do every play in our arsenal. We'll have to play a big lineup. We'll have to simplify. But we've got players who are capable of getting us into offense, and we'll utilize them in such a way.
The situation was already dire, with Caitlyn Clark missing her 18th game due to quad and groin injuries. No timeline for her return, no certainty about when their engine would be back to drive the offense. But the Phoenix game turned a difficult situation into an absolute catastrophe that nobody saw coming. Sydney Colson went down with a torn ACL in her left knee during the first quarter, and you could see the devastating moment happen in real time. Her season ended just like that, in an instant.
I mean, you guys are unfortunately kind of familiar with injury updates this season, but I imagine yesterday's was probably pretty tough. Just what's the reaction been from you guys, the players, the coaches, to losing Sid and Ari?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just brokenhearted for them. They're two really good people that you hate to see this happen to. They've been an integral part of what we've been doing, and so hate it for them. Unfortunately, it's part of the deal. and we've got to roll with it. And we've got players in that locker room who believe in one another, players in that locker room who are as competitive as all get out. We've got versatility, and it's going to have to be on full display. So I think now it's about playing to honor them, right, and playing for them.
Then came the fourth quarter punch that left everyone speechless. Ari McDonald broke a bone in her right foot, adding another season-ending injury to the same game that had already claimed Colson. 2 point guards, same game, both done for the year. The roster was suddenly completely empty at the most crucial position in basketball. No team wants to face a single game without their floor general, but losing your backup and the backup to the backup, that's basketball nightmare territory that makes coaches wake up in cold sweats. The front office couldn't even make emergency trades because the deadline had already passed. They were stuck with what they had, and what they had wasn't nearly enough. Lexi Hull had been trapped inside her own head for weeks, watching shot after shot clank off the rim, while her confidence crumbled piece by piece. This wasn't just a brief cold streak that every player experiences. Hull was suffering through the worst shooting slump of her professional career, going an absolutely brutal 2 for 25 from beyond the arc over the 2 weeks leading up to this Chicago showdown. Her mother hadn't witnessed her daughter make a single three-pointer since August 1st against Dallas. Think about that for a second. A professional sharpshooter whose own family couldn't remember the last time they celebrated one of her makes. The Phoenix game showcased just how deep Hull's struggles had become. She went 1 for 11 from the field and a devastating 0 for 8 from three-point range, finishing with just 2 points in arguably her worst offensive performance of the entire season. You could see her hesitating on shots she normally drains with complete confidence. Her natural shooting stroke was being replaced by doubt and overthinking. Every missed three-pointer added more pressure to the next attempt, creating a vicious cycle where her mental state was destroying her physical abilities. Hull was creating her own mental prison, where overthinking had completely taken over her basketball instincts. She was second-guessing everything, her footwork, her release point, even wide-open looks that she'd been making since high school. The most dangerous part wasn't just the missed shots. It was watching a confident professional athlete transform into someone who was afraid to let it fly. Her teammates kept finding her and encouraging her to shoot, but you could see the internal battle happening every time the ball touched her hands. Then came the moment that changed absolutely everything against Chicago. Hull stepped into her first three-point attempt with Caitlyn Clark watching intently from the bench, probably holding her breath like the rest of Fever Nation. The ball left Hull's hands with that familiar rotation she'd been missing for weeks. It arced through the air and swished through the net with the most beautiful sound in basketball. Clark jumped up from the sideline in pure joy, celebrating like she had just made the shot herself. You could see the genuine happiness and relief on her face as she watched her teammate finally break free. That single shot didn't just break Hull's shooting slump. It completely shattered the dam that had been holding back her confidence for weeks. You could literally watch her entire demeanor change in real time. She started moving without the ball again, hunting for her next opportunity instead of hiding from it. She was making the right reads, playing with freedom, and remembering why she fell in love with basketball in the first place. Hull finished the game 4 for 6 from three-point range, but the statistical story doesn't even begin to capture what really happened. You were witnessing a player rediscover her identity and remember who she really is. Her teammates celebrated every single make like it was a game winner. Aaliyah Boston threw up the three-point celebration with both hands. Sophie Cunningham wrapped Hull in the biggest hug. The entire bench was going crazy because they understood the journey she'd been on and how much this breakthrough meant for their championship aspirations. Hull's plus 22 rating proved her impact went way beyond just the scoring column. Kelsey Mitchell had built her entire professional reputation as a pure scorer who lived to put the ball in the basket. She'd never been asked to run a complete offense during her 7-year WNBA career, but desperate times called for desperate measures that nobody could have predicted. Mitchell averaged career highs in points but minimal assists throughout her career because that wasn't her role. She was the weapon you unleashed when you needed buckets, not the conductor orchestrating the entire symphony. Playing point guard means sacrificing your oven shot attempts to set up teammates, which goes against every instinct Mitchell had developed over nearly a decade of professional basketball. She admitted she hadn't played point guard since her college days, making this transition even more remarkable. The first few possessions showed the massive adjustment period happening in real time. You could see Mitchell fighting her natural scorer's instincts, forcing herself to survey the entire floor instead of immediately looking for her own shot. But then something incredible clicked in her basketball brain. Mitchell started seeing the floor differently, finding passing lanes she'd never noticed as a shooting guard. Her court vision opened up as she began threading passes through tight windows that surprised even her own teammates. She wasn't just managing the offense anymore. She was conducting it like a seasoned floor general who'd been doing this for years. The transformation was absolutely remarkable to witness. Mitchell finished with a season-high 8 assists and only 1 turnover, proving that elite players find ways to impact winning no matter what position they're asked to play. Chicago's defense had no answer for her dual-threat ability. They couldn't decide whether to stop her shot or her passing, so every time they committed to one thing, she punished them with the other. When they played her for the pass, she scored. When they focused on her scoring, she found the open teammate. Mitchell had completely reinvented her game in one night while helping her team reach another level. What started as a basketball game quickly turned into a statement performance that reminded everyone why the Fever are heading to the playoffs. The final score read 92-70, a 22-point blowout against a team that desperately needed a win to save their season. This marked their 4th straight victory over Chicago this season, but it wasn't just about adding another W to the column. This was about sending a message to every team in the league that the Indiana Fever have built something sustainable and dangerous. Chicago came into this game thinking they were catching Indiana at the perfect time. No Caitlyn Clark, no point guards, coming off back-to-back losses that had shaken their confidence. The Sky thought this was finally their chance to get revenge after being dominated all season long. Instead, they walked into a buzzsaw that exposed exactly how much depth and resilience this Fever team has been building. Every single player who stepped on the court contributed something meaningful to this demolition. Hull broke out of her shooting slump in spectacular fashion. Mitchell transformed into a point guard overnight and dominated both ends of the floor. Boston continued anchoring everything defensively while providing steady leadership. The bench players stepped up when their numbers were called. This wasn't just individual brilliance carrying the load. This was complete team basketball at its finest, with everyone understanding their role and executing it perfectly. The most impressive part wasn't even the final score. It was how comfortable and confident they looked while playing shorthanded against a desperate opponent. They never panicked, never looked overwhelmed, and never gave Chicago any reason to believe they had a chance. This was a playoff-level performance that proved their championship aspirations aren't just wishful thinking. Every win like this builds the mental toughness that separates good teams from great teams when the playoffs arrive. The Fever faced adversity that would have broken most rosters, key injuries, back-to-back losses, and missing their biggest star. Instead of folding under pressure, they found ways to adapt and overcome every obstacle thrown at them. That's championship DNA being formed in real time, and it's exactly what you want to see from a team with title aspirations. Coach Stephanie White has been building something special all season long by bringing in quality human beings who want to pull for each other instead of just chasing individual statistics. That team-first mentality shows up in moments like these. When Hull was struggling with her shot, her teammates kept finding her and encouraging her to shoot. When Mitchell had to play completely out of position, everyone adjusted their roles without complaining. This is the kind of chemistry that wins championships, not just individual talent. The supporting cast around Clark is no longer just role players waiting for their superstar to return. They're legitimate weapons who can take over games when needed. Hull's confidence is back after breaking out of her shooting slump. Mitchell has unlocked a completely new dimension to her game as a facilitator. Boston continues anchoring everything in the paint with her steady presence and leadership. These aren't just individual improvements. This is a supporting cast that's ready to help Clark chase a championship. But the real proof is in how they respond to adversity. Every championship team faces moments where everything seems to be going wrong, where the easy thing would be to make excuses and accept defeat. The Fever have been tested by injuries, tough losses, and impossible circumstances. Instead of breaking, they've gotten stronger. That mental toughness and resilience will be invaluable when the playoff pressure reaches its peak and every possession matters. The 2025 season isn't just about making the playoffs anymore for the Indiana Fever. It's about making serious noise once they get there and showing the entire league that they're ready to compete for a championship. This victory, without their superstar, proves they've built something deeper than just one player carrying the entire load. While other teams rely on individual talent to save them, the Fever are developing the kind of chemistry and resilience that wins titles. Picture this team once the playoffs arrive, and they have Clark back in the lineup ready to dominate. They'll have all this resilience and character built up from games like this one. They'll have players who've proven they can step up in crucial moments. They'll have the confidence that comes from knowing they can beat anybody on any given night, regardless of circumstances. This Chicago beatdown was more than just another win in the standings. It was proof that the Indiana Fever have championship DNA flowing through their entire roster. Comment Fever Show down below to show your support for Lexi and this incredible team. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on because this playoff run is going to be absolutely special.